Hi everyone. This week we are going to talk about small group and team communication. This is chapter 8 in your textbook. The idea of this whole chapter is really to get you ready to work together in groups for your group speech. Now, normally when I teach this class, we do a lot of collaborations and in-class activities that really, throughout the semester help you focus on what it's like to work with others. However, teaching this course virtually this semester has definitely given us some more challenges, as well as we're being faced with our everyday work and lives, is how do we collaborate when we can't be in the same room as someone? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. So I am going to do this slideshow with my notes here because I wrote a lot of notes for it, and I want to make sure I hit everything. So first off, what is small group communication? Well, when we talk about small group communication, we're looking at groups about 3 to 15 members. When you only have 2 people, that's considered interpersonal communication. So it has to be 3 and above. So when it comes to groups, the second feature of it is interdependence, which captures the effect of what you and your group members have on one another. So although you're working together, how are you working separately to accomplish the goals? The third feature is group task. The primary reason the group exists is to accomplish something. For the case of this class, you're going to be working together as a group to give me a speech on a topic that you guys chose from a list. So that's what your task is. During at work, it could be you have to run numbers to get a report to get to your boss, but you have to work with different people to accomplish that. And the fourth feature is the group norms. So what are the guidelines or rules that your group it's implemented of how you should not only work together, how you should behave, but how you should approach its tasks. And for this assignment, I'm giving you your norms. So I'm going to tell you what I want you to do and a little bit how I want you to do it, but it also gives you a lot of room for creativity. The fifth feature of this is identity. That refers to the psychological or physical boundaries that distinguish a group member from a non-group member. And the sixth feature is group talk, which is centered on the specific types of communication that you and your group members are going to be engaging in. So there's a couple different kinds of reasons why you might be talking and working in a group. Problem solving. So that's going to be you have a problem and you have to solve it. Your topic for this speech actually is a problem solve task. It's up to you how you want to stand on that issue, but I'm going to be asking you to solve a problem. Decision-making talk is when you have to make a decision as a group. Although that's not the biggest focus, you guys are going to have tons of places where you need to make decisions within your group. The functional perspective of small group communication states that a performance is directly related to how well members engage in each of the 5 communicative functions necessary to make an informed choice. So the first function, which is developing a correct understanding of the issue, includes identifying the nature of the issue, the extent and the seriousness of the issue. The second function is determining the minimal characteristics required of the alternative needs to resolve the issue. The third function requires group members to identify appropriate, adequate, and an ambiguous set of alternatives. The fourth function, examining the alternatives identified in the third step in relation to the minimal characteristics established in the second step. And the fifth function is to select the best alternative in light of the previous 4 functions. So essentially what that means is you need to kind of think of every portion of the project that I'm asking you to do. So you need to figure out what the issue is, figure out how your group is going to work together, what roles do we play, and having a set of alternatives. What is your backup plan? So we talk a lot about advantages and disadvantages of small group communication. And I'll be honest, I was someone that always in school, I did not really like doing group projects. And I'm sure there's a few of you out there that kind of feel the same way. And the idea of having to do a group project might not be extremely appealing to you. Please know that I understand that, and I'm going to share some of my experiences. I will say group work is something that you will have to do all throughout your college career, and even more so into when you're into the job field. So I'll start with talking about some advantages. So in my grad course, I had a professor that was trying to teach us the importance of group work. There were a lot of us in there that had the feelings of we really didn't want to work together. We thought we could do it all on our own. So what he had us do was he gave us a minute to write down as many TV shows that we have seen at least a whole season of. So started a time and we all wrote things down. I probably got about 15 on my list. Then he puts us into groups and he has us combine our lists and take out any duplicates. Then the professor asks us, okay, who had more answers alone than they did in a group? No one raised their hand because it would be impossible. At the very least, even if someone had the identical list as you, you would still have the same. But all of us had more because more people had different experiences and access to different resources. So the whole moral of that story is that, working together, whenever you work together, you're going to have more information available to you than if it was just yourself. The next part is diversity of opinion. I don't expect you guys to all share the same opinion, even on what your topic is. If you do, that's great. If not, you have to figure out how to work together to find that common ground. Also, the great thing about working in a group is you might think you have everything thought out, and then someone in the other group might come up with an idea that you've never thought about before. And that really brings more diversity into your speech and into any assignment that you're working on in a group. And the last one is creativity and brainstorming. My favorite thing to do in a group is to just start off your meeting by brainstorming any ideas that you might have. Whatever your task is at hand, everybody just sharing what they're thinking, because then you're going to get 4 or 5 different perspectives depending on how many group members. And also creativity. Now, some of you might consider yourself very creative people, and that is wonderful. I will venture to say that all of you are creative people, you just don't know it yet. But some of you that might feel like creativity is not your strong suit, but you're very analytical or you're very good with numbers, you have each other's skills to play with. So that's going to help make an even grander speech and project than you would have had by just yourself. All right, so disadvantages. Biggest one being what we call group hate is the idea that not everyone likes it. I will raise my hand here because I know I am one of these people. But like I said, group work is going to be something that you have to work with all through college. I'm working on my doctorate right now, and I still have about a group project every week. It has probably taken me 10 years to really figure out how to work best in a group. And reasons that I feel like not everyone likes group work kind of goes with the following 2 things. So the coordination of tasks, really figure out who is doing what and who is responsible for what. This is huge. And I'm going to challenge each of you, and in the paper that you have to write, one of my questions is, what is every person responsible for? If you go into a project knowing this person is going to do this, I'm responsible for this, it makes things so much easier to kind of come together and make it into a cohesive presentation. The last thing is member misbehavior. And this is, I think, the number one thing that feeds group hate, is that you feel like somebody on your team is slacking. No one likes to do a group work when they're doing it all themselves. And the whole point of this is to not be doing one person doing the work. I get to see you guys work individually in 3 speeches this year, but this is your one chance to really play with each other's strengths and to come up with something, bigger than just you. However, I know I'm not naive. I know that this happens all the time. And this has been one of the reasons that I've held off on doing a group presentation, is because I don't think one person, I first of all, I don't believe in group grades. I don't think every, how am I trying to say this? Let's see. I think every person has the potential to contribute a lot, but I do know that, this is not a perfect world and not everyone will contribute. So that's why I do ask for your feedback on how did your members work together. So in the end, I will find out about it, but I really just, it works so much better if everyone just works together. Come up with a calendar, come up of when you're going to meet on what times, through what platform, and really coordinate those tasks. Who's going to be responsible for what? How are we going to bring this all together? What day do we want to follow up on? What date do we want to record this on? All of that, I feel like if we can really coordinate all those tasks and try to eliminate member misbehavior, we can really try to get rid of the idea of group hate. So I just kind of want to walk you through now of what stages that you're going to kind of go through as you develop this. So the first one is going to be the forming stage. And this is information I took right out of the textbook, so I'm going to kind of put my own twist on it. But this is when you really meet for the first time because of, this being a virtual class. You really haven't gotten a whole lot of chance to communicate with other group members. So this is going to be your first time to really introduce yourself and meet them. Because of COVID, I am going to really suggest that you consider doing this through Zoom or Google Hangout, some sort of online platform. The next stage is your group development. So this is the brainstorming stage. I want you to begin to actively think about what you want to do. For this assignment, I give you a list of topics and I have you guys choose which one you want to do. So that's going to be your first thing, is figuring out which topic you want to do and then figure out who is going to be responsible for what pieces of this. The norming stage is when you really begin to all work together on a task and you feel some sort of cohesion. The performance stage is what comes next, and this is really focusing on task completion. So at this point, maybe you finished your individual tasks, you're bringing it together. I always think the best way to kind of deliver tasks. So for this one example, you have your speech. Your speech has to have some sort of visual, and then you also have a paper that you write about a week before the speech, really after your first meeting, to tell me what is your topic, what is everyone's responsibilities, what days are you planning on meeting, how are you going to get this accomplished. So when you divide those up, yes, one person might be, focusing more on the PowerPoint, but you should all run all of your things through each other. So this would really fall into the performing stage. So your individual tasks are kind of up and you're working on that cohesion step. And the adjourning stage will be what happens after your presentation. So at that point, you're kind of done working as a group together. I think personally, you'll take some time to assess how you think you did and how your working relationships were with people in there. This I really recommend doing, especially in classes where you might, maybe for your major, where you work with a lot of the same people. I think it's a great way to kind of look and say, okay, I worked really well with these people because X, Y, and Z, or me and this person, we really have similar strengths, so we might be suited to work with others for the next time. So that's what it really means when it has you assessing your relationships. And then you will also receive my feedback, which I will provide feedback for the group as a whole, and then I'm also going to do individual feedback, as well as gathering information from you all about how your group worked together and how you think each member did with what they were supposed to do. All right, I'm going to stop this one right here because my time is about to run out.